You see? They're dead. D-E-A-D, dead. You know, this is the argument. They can't ever allow the public to be heard in front of the public. And all of the TV cameras are trained on the two of you, and this man has nothing to say because there is no defense. It's exactly what they've done. They've issued irredeemable promises to pay. They've laundered them into their own possession, and though it costs, on average, around the world, 2 cents to issue a bill, a dollar bill, a $10 bill, a $1,000 bill into circulation, 2 cents per bill. They're charging, well, it might cost $2 to issue $100,000 into circulation. They're laundering the $100,000 into their possession. But the worst thing is they're multiplying that into terminal debt by interest. They're collecting $300,000 or $400,000 of interest on that purported debt to the banks, which was never a debt in the first place. What lawful consideration, sir, did you give up for this purported debt to you? He's red as red can be because there is no answer. You ask these questions right in front of the television cameras, and they record forever this man's inability to answer. And the whole world will understand banking is just a scam and a terminal scam. And without even any political clout, only by political subversion, are they intending to continue perpetrating this crime against us. They're dead, you see. They're dead. If you go there already planting the seeds among the Icelandic people, there's a solution. This banking is a scam, and this is the solution of it. Mathematically perfected economy is the equivalent of barter. We trade each other. We all anticipate that money is a token of value. But it's not. It has a process attached to it which multiplies our dispossession into terminal dispossession to this purported banking system. It's merely a system of stealing from us, and they want to go on forever by proposing that we can adopt a new currency, which is the same currency, or we can join a European Union, which the principal purpose of which is perpetrating the same currency upon you. You're still going to be subject to interest. This is a lie that goes on forever and ever and ever. They just create a new currency, which is the same currency, give it another name, and it's going to save us. But it's still going to be subject to interest. It's still going to be this obfuscation of our promissory obligations to each other for the sole purpose of our exploitation. So, they can't survive this, you see. Now, you go to the bank with those arguments, practicing them, and you practice them against fellow citizens who just believe somehow that banking serves them, and they stand up for banking, and so they assert one or two or however many of the lies of banking, and you answer them deftly. And when you have the confidence to quell any assertion which is made against this fact of one solution, when you have that confidence, you can go to the bank dragging along TV crews and radio crews and all your friends who are videoing this likewise, so that if a TV station, which is owned indirectly by someone who is closely associated with the banking system, and what they do, they find that somehow this process, this interaction, this engagement between yourself and this manager of the Bank of Iceland happen to be dissolvable into certain parts, that they can just televise those certain parts, put them together in what seems to be a completely different context. They had their own TV cameras. Those TV cameras were pointed directions so that none of the crowd which was there was recorded, and all of the crowd realized you were absolutely right. And when you say these things, and you can read it on everyone else's faces who are listening, it just conveys a tremendous message. But all of their TV cameras were pointed a direction where none of that would show. It would look like you went there alone, and you just had a preposterous idea, and they just take a few clips out of it, and they put a headline in the TV, what an idiot Thor Aaron Einerson proved he was today by just taking a few little parts out selectively and doing this. Well, with your friends there and having the whole interview, you can put the whole damn thing up on YouTube at the same time, and that TV station will be exposed for how corrupt it is. So you have to cover your bases. You have to make sure that you're recording, each of these events in its completeness so that it can't be taken out of context to be used against you wrongly and incorrectly. In fact, you can then go to this meeting with this bank with an attitude of great enjoyment, that knowing full well that anything that they try to do has been recorded from every other side, and they just won't be able to get away with anything, however extreme they try to get away with, to defeat us somehow. You see, and this will become, worldwide news. I mean, there's people in Australia who will have it on YouTube immediately, So you don't even go with just one extra, camcorder. You go with an army, of people recording this whole thing and script it out, live it out. Maybe even enact it amongst yourselves. Somebody pretends to be the bank manager, and this is what I'm going to say, okay, at this point in your approach, and you may force you to think on your feet. It's better to be able to think on your feet than script this whole thing out, because remember, the whole guiding principle is this fact that there is one and one only solution, and it's your omnipotent weapon. If you just master that, it takes a little practice to come back with the reply for anything and everything that can be asserted, but that practice is good for you, because it confirms to you that you can go there and just defeat these guys, So I would say, first things first, proliferate the information among the people, and a good thing to do would be, some poor old guy is, a widower, and he's about to lose his house, and you say, you explain to him what his situation would be under mathematically perfected economy, how his house would already be paid for, when in this recrediting of the people's accounts, what we need to have in the way of a representative circulation would provide for him to survive the rest of his life. There is no rational reason for this man to resist this, and he would be saddened by the fact that he's losing his house when he doesn't have to lose his house. But you say, no, let's stand together, let's do this thing, and let's do this now, and tell all your friends, explain these things to them, so that we all understand them. And when we understand them, we're undefeatable. It's only by stupidity that we're defeatable. Our own stupidity, our own compromising of principles. If we think, there's just however many solutions we dream there might be, those are how many solutions there are. And by the way, I just thought of another one. And I thought of another one too. No, that's not a fact. You don't just think of solutions. You carefully resolve whether or not something is a solution or not, and that's the key to prevailing in all of this.
The scenery you were just describing in the bank. Surely it must have been tried somewhere many times before.
Many times before? I don't think so. I don't think it's ever been tried before. I know that I've done it. No, I don't think so. That is, you might have had a crackpot or two believe that, they've understood my work plagiarized by someone else and they've tried to do something. In fact, I can tell you that one of my first major plagiarists is in jail because they tried to do it. You see, they're in jail. They've been in jail for many years. Now, that's because, well, I don't even know what they did, but obviously they believed they had some power, which they, you know, you have to keep your feet on the ground. You have to realize that each of us, we're still just people. And that, you know, we don't have any power just by intellectual or moral rectitude to prevail over a bank. We have to realize that our strategy has to be more refined than that. And a thing to remember about that is that the truth is the last thing that they can afford to happen, listen very careful to this part, the last thing that they can ever afford to happen is a comprehensive, exhaustive public debate on the purported propriety of banking and their obfuscation of the currency. They cannot afford for that to happen. That's their death knell. They are over. They are over. And that's why this man is going to turn red in the face. He knows what the lies of banking are, and he knows that they have prevailed over all of us for so long because we have been so stupid. But all of a sudden, he's confronted by Thor Einarsson, who walked into his bank, and he knows because the mayor of Reykjavik has whispered to him or whatever. He knows that you know better. And the way you start your attack is actually an aggressive intellectual assault on this idea of banking, which assault he cannot prevail over unless he engages you in the dialogue they can never afford to happen because he can only lose. You see? So this is his conundrum. He can't begin to defend himself with the lies because he knows you're going to expose him. His best chance is to cut his losses and run. But that's a triumph, a great triumph in itself, because everyone's going to see that there was no defense. And what are they going to do then? They have all these people in the media all around the world who are going to rise up and say, oh, this is the truth about this, and this article is going to come out on America Online. And the truth is somebody's going to send me a link to it, and I'm going to jump right over there, and I'm going to type out, a quick 3,000-word exhaustive refutation of this assertion of the truth. And when I go to post it, I'm going to be prevented from posting it because it's America Online only. That's what's going to happen. These lies are going to be perpetrated in some of the places. They're going to try and insulate them however they can. I know Jack's listening, but just yesterday he'd sent me to visit some posts and threads, and I did, and Jack's comments are being posted out or filtered out of YouTube by the. He's so prevailing over other people that in response what they're doing is they're marking Jack's comments as spam. They're not spam at all. They're the prevailing arguments, But Austrian economists or Ron Paul supporters are marking these things as spam so that they don't have to answer to them, so that they don't have a thorn in their side which invalidates their position. Well, of course, I see this and I go on and I mark it as not spam so that the comments return to the discussion. So the thing is, the thing is to get all your ducks in a row first. If 10 of us, just stood up and said, this is the solution. and it's the only solution, and there was an assassination when we were all wiped out, and there wasn't a recorded set of documents that this thing was preserved in, already scattered around the world, or we hadn't covered all our bases. We were basically sticking our necks on the chopping block. You see, the thing to do is to get all the people you can behind this in the first place. And I'm not saying 100%. We were discussing this, earlier today with some other people, and a figure was thrown out there.